All right. My name is Matt Lister. I am the rep over the South Atlantic territory. So I'm covering kind of the southern states, it's fitting. I'm originally from South Louisiana. Fell in love with a girl from Utah. So now I'm in Utah. Just a little bit of a background before I begin. I owned a brick and mortar flooring store for almost 10 years. My wife and I ran it by ourselves. I was the salesman. I was the boss. I was the IT guy. I was the janitor. I was the warehouse guy, the forklift repairman. So I've done it all. So for those of you that are maybe new with your business, very limited on your employees, I completely understand, and I know where you're coming from. So we're going to talk about, first of all, what does make a job complete? We're going to talk about things like correctly installed lights track and your wires, proper Wi-Fi connections, test patterns, customer's cloud account, zone, app walkthrough, and final cleanup and task. So let's start out. Here's an install. This is not JellyFigh, but it is an install. This house, it probably works, but is the job complete? The track has been installed. It's got wires that have been installed. Are there neat cuts? Has it been touched up with touch-up paint? Have we done the best that we can to give the customer what they have paid for? Let's take a little bit of a closer look. Like I said, it may work, but this is not what we would like to see. Now,
is this installer available to hire?
They have since moved on. We at JellyFigh, we always try and make sure that we have a very neat install. You want to try and not let the wires be exposed. There are times when it may not even be possible to hide the wire all the time. That is something that you want the customer to be aware of. You want to have a conversation with them before you even start the job and just say, look, with the lights going here, this may be what you're going to have to expect, okay? So again, we want you to take pride in your work. I know that many of you do. Hopefully all of you do. But it does potentially mean the difference between this job and the next one. And we're going to be talking about that. So you want to do the best that you can on your install when it comes to the physical aspect with the wire, the lights, and the track. Now, the Wi-Fi connection, just want to remind everybody that it does connect to a 2.4 gigahertz network. So that is important. You also want to make sure that it's not a guest network. We want to ask what the signal quality is. We'd like to see an 8 or a 9. That's a good quality signal. That means that the customer is going to have a good experience with their connection from their app to the controller itself. If you don't have a connection like this, we want you to consider potentially using a Wi-Fi extender, maybe even using a hard line directly to the router. But we do want to have a quick response from the app to the customer's phone to the controller. So try and get that signal as high as possible. You do want to try and have all of these tools available so that you don't have to go back out. You want to minimize your trips, which will minimize your cost. You also want to make sure that you have the latest firmware. You can go into settings, you can go to the controller firmware. It will tell you if it needs to be updated or not. So before the job is done, you want to make sure that the customer does have the latest firmware as well. Now, light and installation testing. So the test patterns that you're going to be running, if you're not running them, you should be running them. One of the test patterns is full white. White dimmed down to 20%. Full blue. Blue dimmed to 20%. A red-white chase. I'm sure many of you are familiar with that. Also the green comet. So these are patterns that help to test the system that you should be doing before you have completed the job. Customer's cloud account, we've made some improvements. It's going to make things a lot easier for you as a dealer to be able to help the customer with their account creation. So that's something that you need to make sure is done as well, that the customer understands that their account has been created if you're going to be doing that for them. Zones and schedules. The default zone. We cannot stress how important it is that the job is not finished until you have properly zoned the house. It doesn't have to be anything that's deeply elaborate, maybe just the front, the back, the left, and the right side. If you leave it on the default zone, the system is blasting every light that's on the system, meaning that you will have what we call phantom or ghost lights. So if somebody just wants their house to be a particular color, it'll work just fine. But if they want to run a pattern, their lights may start with that pattern, and all of a sudden everything goes dark for a minute or two. Now the system is working as intended, but it's sending that data signal to lights that are not there. And so the customer may think, hey, it's broken, it doesn't work. And they're going to be calling you saying, you sold me a system that's not working. So it's very important to help yourself, help your customer, make sure that you do not leave the job set to default zones. Okay? Very important. Daily schedule. I would urge you to help your customer set up a very simple schedule. Kind of run through it, let them see how that is done. Just show them. It doesn't have to be anything elaborate, but it will save you a headache in the future. Let's talk about job site cleanup. I have worked with plumbers and electricians, a lot of trades. They will leave all of the cuttings behind. They will leave trash behind. Part of customer service, part of completing that job is making sure that you left it in the same condition that you found it. If you brought it there, you need to bring it out. Big stuff, little stuff, it doesn't matter. Cigarette butts, even things like that. You know, the wrapper from the hamburger that you had for lunch. You know, honestly, I wouldn't even put it in the customer's garbage. I would take a garbage bag with you on every site. They should not know that you were even there except for the new, beautiful lights that they have on their house. Okay? Screws are a big one. I don't know if anybody's ever stepped on a nail or a screw barefoot. Doesn't feel good. Could mean a trip to the doctor, the emergency room. You know what's worse than that? Customers stepping on it. You know what's even worse than that? Their kids stepping on it. That's right. You want an angry customer? Let their grandkids step on one of the screws that are painted to match their track. They will not be happy. And again, it's good customer service. So again, your trash, take it all. Your tools. I'm sure the customer wouldn't mind if you left a couple of tools behind. But again, that can cut into your profit. You don't want to do that. And it happens across the industry. I'll never forget the very first couch that I ever bought. I had it for about a year and a half. And I was vacuuming, went to clean out from underneath it, and there was the fabric that they closed the bottom of the couch, so there was a dip in it. And I thought maybe one of our cats had gotten in and was, sitting under there. And so I went under there and I, kind of hit it like that because I figured the cat would, move and get out. And it moved and it was very heavy, but it was not a cat. I didn't know what it was. So I tipped the couch back, pulled the fabric off, and it was a very well-loved, very well-used Ryobi drill with a battery and the bit still installed that apparently whoever was making the furniture had left it in there. Now, I was excited, but then I realized I didn't use Ryobi, so I didn't have a charger. So I'd actually have to go out and buy a charger. So, it didn't benefit me, but you do want to make sure that you try and take everything back. So again, on the job site completion, you want to make sure that we've got everything correctly installed. You want to make it look nice. You want to make it look neat. Make sure that you have a good, solid Wi-Fi connection as well to the controller. Make sure that you have communication between the app and the customer's system. Make sure that you've run through the test patterns. And again, this is going to test, we're going to be talking about it more in a little bit. It's going to be testing the lights themselves, but also all of the connections that you've made. Make sure that the customer's got a cloud account that is working. And again, with the new utils, that's going to make it even easier than ever. Zone and app walkthrough. Help your customers, especially your elderly customers. I'll tell you right now that Q had a wonderful way when he was an installer of doing this. He would actually have his customer record him going through the app, especially your elderly customers. That way they can refer back to it as many times as they need to. I think that's an excellent, excellent tip. And they're going to appreciate it. And again, that goes along with customer service as well. And of course, your final cleanup and tasks, you want to make sure that you've covered all your bases. Now, we at Jellyfish, some of the extra things that we do, you don't have to do this, but I think that they're really, really helpful, especially in the future with that particular customer, is taking screenshots of the zones. Okay, now that's going to be a lot easier with utils. You can refer back, but if you do have that, every customer ought to have a folder with all of their information in it, pictures of the home, the measuring that you did. All of that should be quick and easily referenced. A light count. Okay, again, that goes back to your zones. That will tell you exactly how many lights that you do have on this system. Now, you can figure out the feet of your lights if you use this little equation right here. The number of lights multiplied times 0.75, that'll give you how many linear feet you have on the job. We do this because we can then test to see if we have overcharged or undercharged. Those are things that you need to keep track of too. I know in my business it was easy to throw this in or not charge a customer for this. You put that in there. That adds up. I found one time after auditing my system after a year that I lost over $7,000 in shipping cost alone because I was either undercharging for the shipping of flooring that was coming in, or maybe I doubled up 2 customers and I said, well, hey, look, I'll save you some money since I've got 2 orders coming in. And I had no idea that I'd lost that much. So little things can add up. One thing that we do that is extremely important are yard signs. If you're not putting a yard sign at the end of every job, letting people who come over to see those beautiful brand new lights that were just installed, first one especially in the neighborhood, you're really missing out on potential sales. The yard sign is your signature on your work of art, okay? It lets everyone know what you're capable of and that you are proud of it, and we should all be proud of our work. Don't let your competition get the opportunity to put up lights based on your incredible work. So the yard sign is extremely, extremely important. You also want to make sure that you answer questions for the customer. Before you leave, let them know that you're leaving if they're there. Sometimes the customer may not be there. Make sure that they don't have any questions. Let them know that you're available if they do. But if there's anything that they had a problem with, maybe they didn't like the way something was done, that's the point that you want to make sure that their concerns or their happiness is heard. Now, we're going to talk about customer service. Who is a happy customer? How do you create a happy customer? How do you keep them? So we're going to talk about customer satisfaction, loyalty. We're going to talk about some of the same things that David talked about. We're going to talk about your brand. Reviews. Are bad reviews really bad? And of course, the wonderful referral. This looks familiar. This is the service recovery paradox. Again, We're all going to have unhappy customers. It's the nature of the beast. It's the nature of business. If you don't have unhappy customers, I'd love to know how you did it. But I will tell you that there's a lot of people that they may be unhappy and they won't say anything. Okay? It's important to talk to your customers, make sure that they were happy, and keep in an open line of communication. So again, you've got 3 lines here. We've got dissatisfaction, dipping all the way down. We've got satisfaction, which is a job that went right. There are no problems, no concerns. And then we have delight. We have the customer that had a problem. It was fixed quickly. It was fixed happily, which is kind of hard to do with unhappy customers sometimes. But it was fixed. Let's talk about your brand. How do your customers perceive your business? Is it a good business? Is it a bad business? Is it a business that they would work with again? The overall image, feeling, and the reputation that these customers have of your business, it's more than just your logo or your name. It encompasses your values, your personality, the experiences you provide. It's extremely important to have that outward appearance, and even more so that the customers share that appearance. So what kind of business do you think you are? Are you responsive? Do you help out your customers? Are you there for them when they have a problem? All of this is part of the customer service that we all need to be doing. How can you make your business brand better? You want to be unique. Again, your logos, all of that, there's marketing that goes into that. But you do want to make sure that you have a brand that people talk about in a good way. Ask for a review. Very important. If you're not asking for a review, you should be. Your installer should be asking the customers for a review also. We all want positive reviews. Positive reviews are the best. Always express gratitude for a customer that will leave a positive review. They are golden. Make the request very clear. Say, look, if you liked the work, if everything looks good, if you're happy with the install, please leave us a positive review. We'd greatly appreciate it. But you do want to make the process easy. If the process is not easy, if it's too complicated, if there's too much involved, people are going to just bypass it. I think we've all done it. If I get a little pop-up says, did you like this app? How would you rate it? If all I got to do is hit a star, I'll do that. But if I have to hit a star and then write an entire paragraph of why I liked it, I am much less likely to leave a review. You want to choose the appropriate time and method on this. You know, once the customer's happy, they've expressed their gratitude, that's when you do want to ask them for the positive review. On average, a business needs to have about 40 reviews before they achieve an average star rating. Customers are likely to spend 31% more on a business with excellent reviews. Good reviews are very important. Now, customers are 21% more likely to leave a review after a negative experience than after a positive one also. So that's something that we have to keep in mind as well. Now, what are the types of reviews that you may run into, and how is your company judged? Because let's face it, in today's day and age, reviews are important. I think that we've all shopped on Amazon once or twice. We've all seen products that were very similar. And usually we start looking at the reviews almost immediately. Now, the good reviews. 82% of consumers consult online reviews for local small businesses. It does make a difference. The bad. Honestly, I'm a little skeptical if I see nothing but 5 stars across the board. Then I start thinking perhaps they hired somebody to give reviews. Perhaps they, maybe there's bots that are doing it. Now, a bad review is not necessarily a bad thing. We do want to give the customer the benefit of the doubt. We all make mistakes. We can all have things that have been overlooked, but you do want to give the customer the benefit of the doubt. When you have a bad review that comes up, you do want to utilize the service recovery paradox. You want to make sure that that customer is taken care of quickly, as quickly as possible. You also want to make sure that they're taken care of. You want to treat them very special. This was a customer who said that they hate the company. That's a very strong review. If I read a review like that, I would think, I don't know if I want to do business with this company. Now, it could be just a person that, I don't know, maybe a cigarette butt was left in the yard. And so, that's why they hate the company. But this looks pretty convincing. You have to hit this head on. Don't let it fester. Take care of it. Take care of the customer. Call them up personally. Meet with them. Find out what the problem was. Get all of the information and take care of it. Because what happens next, here's an update. I've never had a service company react so swiftly and completely to a complaint. If I'm a consumer and I'm reading that review, this has completely turned things around. I want a company that's going to treat me like that. I want a company that's going to be there for me. And if it wasn't for the review and then the positive turn, because that company went out and made it right, I probably wouldn't do business with them. Now, we do have a third, the unreasonable review. You're all going to have these. You're going to have someone that maybe they're just upset. Maybe they never were a customer. Maybe one of your trucks cut them off in traffic. Okay? Maybe they just don't like you. Maybe they have a personal vendetta. Can't really stop people from making things up, but you do want to be responsive. Respond to your reviews, the good and the bad and the unreasonable. Hit them with facts, but let other people know that you're engaged, that you're making sure that your business is taken care of. It's going to be a game changer. Be professional. Never stoop down, never lose your cool. So you respond fast, professional, and you want to make it right. Now, lots of times on the unreasonable with a lot of these review companies, you can contact them. If you provide evidence that it is unjust, they can actually remove it for you. So that's something to certainly look into as well. Is a referral important? Referrals are great. Instant trust and credibility. That makes for an easy sale. Going back to what Shane said with sales, a sale from a referral is almost a guaranteed thing. It's an easier sale. Creates an environment for an easier sale as well. It's a pretty cheap lead. Didn't have to pay for it, really. You just did a good job. You offered a good product. And it pretty much falls in your lap. You have a happier customer. We all want happier customers. Happier customers mean positive reviews. Positive reviews means more customers. So it just starts to kind of spiderweb out. Good news, of course, does travel fast. Now, talking about referrals, going back to my business, I'm going to leave you with just a little bit of a story. We're about a month into the COVID lockdowns. Okay? Nobody knows what's happening. Nobody knows what's going on. My business, I'm waiting for people to come in. They're scared to death. They don't want to come in and talk to anybody directly, meet with anybody. But I get a call from a gentleman, and he says, look, I'm over in such and such town, which is about an hour and 15 minutes away, further than what I would normally send my installers to. And he says, I have a transition piece that has worn out, and I need a new one. He says, I've got all of the specs on it, but I need a new one. And I'm thinking, my gosh, First of all, he probably could have called the place that, he originally got it from. So I asked him, I said, I'm quite a ways away. Have you tried, the store that you originally got? He says, yeah, they're not answering their phone. He says, I don't even know if they're still open or not. And I'm thinking, how am I going to get it to him? He's going to either have to come pick it up. I'm going to make $10 off of this. Is this even worth the trouble of trying to go through all of this? But I talked to him. I listened to him. Get in touch with one of my suppliers. And I say, look, can I just arrange to have this shipped directly to his house via UPS? Sure, no problem. So I call him back. I said, look, I'm going to try and help you out as much as I can. You've already got all of the part, you know, the lot number, the color number. We're going to send it directly to you. So we sent it to him. Well, it was labeled wrong, so it didn't match. So I'm thinking, God, well, you know, that $10 is really just not worth it. Now, what am I going to do? Now I got to get it shipped back. I'm trying to think of a way out of this. And I told him, I said, oh, okay. I said, well, look, I'll ship another one. We'll get you a label, have you ship that one back. He says, well, look, my wife and I, we're going to be coming by, you know, at the end of the week. So we'll just drop it off and we'll swap it out. Great, no problem. So they come through. He's a retired engineer. His wife was a retired teacher. Wonderful couple. And they said, you know, thank you so much. You know, no one else picked up. You know, we really appreciate all of your help for this molding. No problem. About a month later, I get a call from a guy that was kind of in the same area. And he had an entire house that needed to be refloored. And I'm thinking, golly, man, why are people calling me from so far away? So I said, well, look, you know, I'm the only one here at 5 o'clock. If it's okay, I'll head your way. If it's not going to be too late for you. He says, no, that's fine. Yeah, come on out, measure. So, okay, well, great, no problem. So I've got that scheduled for the next week. Well, the next day, I get another call from a guy that's further north, and he's just as far away. And I'm thinking, man, I mean, this is crazy. Does somebody put one of my yard signs or something out where everybody is, you know, getting my number? So anyway, so I scheduled that, and I said, look, I'm going to be up in that area anyway. It'll probably be about 7 o'clock at night, but if you're okay with it, I'll come by and take a look. He had a washing machine that overflowed and just completely flooded his wooden floors in his house. So I scheduled the two. He said that was fine. So I'm on my way. I get to the first estimate that I'm doing. And I mean, it's a full house. The guy's a doctor. And I take all my measurements and I say, you know, just curious, why did you call me? How did you hear about me? Because I'm a good distance away. He says, well, actually, he says about a month ago, he says, you helped my dad with a transition piece. And he said, you were so nice. You were so willing to help, to go out of your way. He said, I mean, that's the kind of person I want to work with. And I said, well, man, that's great. That's absolutely wonderful. Well, thank you so much. You know, I'll be getting this estimate, but look, I do have to get going. I've got another estimate I've got to run to. It's just a little further north. He goes, oh yeah, that's my brother. So it all kind of fell into place. So that one molding that I made $10 off of turned into 2 jobs. They didn't even get estimates from anybody else. Turned into a $60,000 run of estimates. And I got both of them. So referrals are so important. Customer service is so important. Even the little jobs may turn into something big, so you don't want to discount them. Okay? And that's all that I have. Thank you very much.